Okay, folks, let me get rid of my face. Much better. So, quick little feedback on where we're at, and I'll leave this somewhat generic just so it can be repurposed at some point in the future. But this will go out to a couple of our teams, specifically a couple that we've worked with in the last week or two on some big elements. So, we are the red team right now. We did this in training. And I think it was really important for us to look at, because we certainly seen that in the game we played last night with the 14s. We saw the building blocks for things we'd want to see. Obviously, there's an element of risk with that, but I'll explain. But essentially, what we wanted to think about is just the big shape in the first third of the field that our back four can get in. The bigger the better. And I know that's a little risky, and it looked a little risky at times, but that's okay. We want to get to that point. And the reason for that is just so that we can start to build through different thirds of the field. I won't get too fancy, but if we don't look like this, then there's a chance, if we're all condensed, there's a chance that they can come in here, and then it becomes just a question of athletes versus athletes, and this ball goes long, and we're just fighting for the ball with a top centre forward or this person. I'm not saying we would never do that, but we want to show the players just a couple of different ways to play. And one is to play that sort of pretty game and try and transition at the right times through different blocks of the field. So starting off like this, if we look at the right backs, two centre backs and the left back, nice and big. So I always like to think about this, what does that present for the other team? So let's say their centre forward goes here. Okay, well, we can pass the ball to our other centre back, and we've now missed out that centre forward and we're past him. So that's one little pressure moment we've got rid of. Well, what if one of their attacking centre mids comes here? Okay, well, we can find an angle, maybe even through there or there. The two CDMs have now split. I think last night when we played, when we had the ball, they looked like that. You want to get to that point there, right? So now that is blocked off. That's now not on. Well, okay, we can come here. Maybe the left back just drops in here, and maybe here's a pass, and we're in there, and then we're out through that CDM there. What if, again, starting that position there, this person pushes on the fullback? That's now obvious, right? We're just going to go into this player here. What if this player pushes onto that player? Well, great. We'll go fullback first, and then this player here, and we're out. And we bypass three players right there. We can't do any of that without that position of being as big as possible. And we worked on that on Tuesday in training. We'll continue that theme. Now, the next part was, how we transition then from one side of the field and what that looks like. And basically what we told the players was that if the ball is on, if we think about that midpoint from penalty spot to penalty spot, and let's say we have a CDM on the ball just here, and that CDM is sort of facing this way, we would expect that we get plenty of width from this player here. So this player right now is in a great spot, right? They're not tucked in here or tucked in there. They're in this position just here. And that does a few things, right? Let's make that a bit more realistic. There we go. There's our centre forward. Obviously, if we can find the right angles to pass the ball, we can now choose to come out the side just here, right? That's one thing. But what this really does is we could pass this ball straight into this player and play. But what it's done, it's created this space just here, and it's created this space just here. So let's say this person tucks in. Then we've got an opportunity for a ball in there, and now our left side midfield player is in to create an attack. Well, but what tends to happen is teams will start to then be worried about this player, and they won't get this close because that would be crazy, but they might get into that position there. And what that's done, it's just created this little pocket of space just here. And maybe at that point there, a centre forward has got a chance to get this ball in here, and from there we can play. We can now start to see lots of patterns. The ball could go here. We can then have this person on the edge, and then ball through a hole, and we've got that person on that side of the field. But all of that starts, if you see right now, with these players being on the side of the field that the ball is on. So again, looking at it from this side, and we're looking, this right back wouldn't be tucked in here. Right midfield player won't be tucked in here. They could come and easily defend that, make it look like that, and there's nowhere to go. So again, right midfield player out. They're obviously going to go and get worried about that player and maybe get to there. Right back out. Okay, maybe that looks like they might push onto that position there. And now centre forward on the same side of the field as the ball is. If we've got that horizontal line, now in a little pocket of space there. Might not be the centre forward. It might be, I keep doing that. Might be, I don't know, a little CDM pushing into this spot here. and that kind of thing. So we worked on that on Tuesday. We'll evolve because the next part is now how do we transition from these types of areas into attacking patterns that make sense. But one thing specifically for last night that I wanted to talk to the players about is this thing here. And that is that when they're sat in, and I think we had a corner kick, or maybe we've got to the point where we're in and around their box. Let's make that the right back. Let's just make that person a CDM for them. CDM for them. Right midfield player. Attacking centimeter. There. All right. Let's put that person there. So there's their 4 defenders in there. And then we were in positions where we were in here. So we look something like this, which is normal. We'd be here. Just takes a little while to move everyone up. Maybe I'll pause. Hang on a sec. All right, pause. That's great. Love technology. So here we go. So we're in this situation just here. So we're the red team again. The blue team is sort of sat in a little bit and they're defending. Probably took this guy in. I think at one point it was even a corner. But let's say they look like this, kind of that same formation as us. So just to understand the players on the field that we got. Here's a centre forward. Here's an attacking central midfield player. Here's a right midfield player. Here's a left midfield player. So let's make one more player in here. So there's another CDM just in there. And there's our left back just here. Maybe they stood about there last night for the game, for the 14s. So this is the risky part. If the ball right now is with our CDMs, that's okay. If it's with our attacking centre mid, we just got to make sure that this CDM, if we're playing with 2, their role is to stay behind the ball. So at times we look like that and we look like that. And at the start of the second half, that's exactly what we look like. And here's the problem. All of a sudden at this point, now if this ball gets turned over, there's now, and this person's just all in here, there's now a massive hole just here. And it's sort of that danger zone where if this player's half decent and can get turned in all that space, and this person's really fast, or that person's really fast, which is exactly what it looked like at times last night till we fixed it, this is trouble, right? Ball in there. And now they've got all the time in the world to go and figure out something to do. So we just got to make sure that at least one CDM is dedicated to sticking behind that space and to make sure that we are protecting and boxing in this sort of area just here. So that's one thing. The other thing just to consider is just the individual defending just here. So again, if I was to take the ball with this player just here, if our central midfield players, again, we got this sort of 3v3 action in here, 1, 2, 3 for us, centre forward, 1, 2, 3 for them. If we're biting in here and missing, it's the same scenario, right? We can't have teams getting in behind our 2 CDMs too easily. That needs to be a patience thing. We can't bite and miss. Just slow them down, because right now we got picked off a couple of times, and it's the same scenario as before, where this player's now on the ball. This guy's really fast. This guy's really fast. Ball in behind. This guy was really fast. Got the third goal. So we just need that sort of protection in the middle of midfield. Maybe our attacking centre mid comes back in here and just picks up this guy for a few seconds. But just individually track those guys and don't dive in, and we'll be okay. So I hope that helps. A little feedback from some games. Again, the overall shape of the team getting out. We'll talk about the patterns getting forward. And then specifically for the game last night or any game, our CDMs, we just have to be disciplined and we can't run off. And again, just to reiterate, I think at one point we had a corner. So I'll pause. Yep, here's that corner. So we had a CDM in there, just there. And we had a CDM running into the box. Now, if we're 1-0 down with a minute left and we've got a corner, I completely understand. But this is what we left behind us. And I understand the risk versus reward, and I know we have to take risks. But ball in the box, 50-50, and then all of a sudden it's now into this guy's feet and they're gone. And it's just too risky. The other one I forgot to mention is just that is a goal that went in. First contact in the box from corner kicks has to be ours, whether we're attacking or defending. Get something on the ball. And I think there was a goal last night, and again for many teams, where ball comes in and we kind of watched a guy volley the ball in the 6-yard box. Make every effort to be the first person to touch that ball. I don't mind if 2 or 3 players would go for the same ball and we get unlucky and leave someone free, but we can't have nobody go for a ball. So that would be my feedback, and looking forward to the next training session. Cheers.